You've heard of Dave Ramsey, you've heard of his 7 baby steps. Why do those steps work? In this video, I'm going to share with you my experience with Dave Ramsey's 7 baby steps, what I used, what I implemented in my own life, and also what I tweaked, modified, or changed in order to suit my personal circumstances. This is not endorsed by Dave Ramsey. I am sharing with you my experience with it. My name is Ida, and I'm an accountant and a financial coach, and I was broke. Because when I moved to North America, I knew nothing about the credit system. And like most of you, I was trying to build a credit score without knowing anything about what I was doing. And so one thing led to the other. And before long, my credit card started to pile. And I had over $60,000 in personal debt, which is completely paid off right now using Dave Ramsey's baby steps. So let's go quickly through the baby steps, and I'm going to share with you what I changed in my own circumstances. Number one is to save $1,000 fast in a beginner emergency fund. Number two is to pay off all your debt and pay that fast, except for the house, using the debt snowball. If you want a copy of the Debt Snowball template, I have one right here in the description. Check a link there. I included a free copy of a Debt Snowball along with a tutorial that I did for you to know how to use the Debt Snowball. What is a Debt Snowball? All of that is in the tutorial, but it's basically the fastest way you can use to pay off your debt, which actually affects your behavior and changes how you handle your money. That's number two. Number three is to save 3 to 6 months worth of your monthly expenses, to save that in a fully funded emergency fund. Number four is to invest 15% of your income for retirement goals. Number five is to start to save for your children's college fund. Number six is to pay off your mortgage. And number seven is to give. Live and give like nobody else. That is to say, do whatever you want to do with your money. So there are some of the steps that you do them one by one, and there are some of them that you do them together. Step number 1, 2, and 3, you have to do them one by one. So in this video, I want to focus on the first 3 steps and what it is that worked and what is it that I changed. So for my case, starting off, when I came across Dave Ramsey's information, I already had the $1,000 sitting in a savings account somewhere. So saving up for that wasn't a hard thing to do. I simply called that money beginner emergency fund and just gave it a name and left it there. If you are starting out and you do not have that beginner emergency fund sitting somewhere, then your first goal, your first challenge is to actually figure out a way to save that $1,000 in your beginner emergency fund. What is that for? It's for emergencies, to cover an emergency in case something comes up while you are trying to do baby step number 2, which is to pay off your debt. And part of that, he actually encourages you to stop using the credit card. He actually tells you to cut it off, throw it away, and all of that, which I did. I closed up some of the accounts, most of them, but I didn't. And this is the instance where I'm telling you I modified some things because personally, I had other goals that still needed the credit. You're watching this, you're very likely a newcomer in North America. And so your situation is going to be similar to mine, because when you come over to North America, right, you don't have a credit score yet. You probably intend to buy a house at some point down the road. You probably don't have $250,000 plus sitting in an account somewhere that you're going to use to pay off or to buy a house cash. This is not a conversation about whether or not you should buy a house cash. This is a conversation about why the baby steps work, what I changed, and how you can apply that. If you want to argue about buying a house cash versus buying using a mortgage, that's up to you. So my thing is, if you are here, your situation is probably very much like mine. And so use something that works, tweak it to suit your situation, and throw away what doesn't work for you. So if you are here and you don't have that $1,000 sitting in your emergency fund, your first goal is to save up $1,000. Sell anything you can sell. There are Facebook marketplaces. There are lots of marketplaces where you can put things that you currently do not use, or you currently do not need, and it's just sitting there occupying space within your garage, your closet, it's sitting somewhere. Some people actually go to the extent of paying for storage. You're paying for storage and storing things that you're not even going to use. So that is extra money that you're wasting on a monthly basis to pay for something that you're not even going to use. So if you just look around you, you're going to see things that you either want to sell, you either want to throw away, or things that you're holding on to and spending money keeping those things. Just by canceling some of those expenses or just reviewing your subscriptions, you will be able to change the amount of expenses that you have on a monthly basis. And every single dollar that you find from doing that, you should take that and set it aside and add to your beginner emergency fund. So let's assume you've actually done all of that and you have your $1,000 saved. The next thing that he advises to do is to pay off all of your debt except for your mortgage as fast as you can, which is what we did using the debt snowball. And so the template that I share, which again is in the link below, go check on it, go click on it and download it and use it. It lists out all of your debt from the smallest balance to the largest balance with your interest rates and the payments that you do to each and every single one of them. Just putting that information in shows you a clear picture of how much debt you actually have and how long it's going to take for you to get out of it if you only make the minimum payments. Now, why does his method work? Because it creates that behavior change for you that you start to, like, it causes a pain for you. It causes you to take a pause and look at your situation and realize that I'm in a mess and I have to change this if I want something to change for me. Personal finance is 80% behavior, it's only 20% what you know. So if you're able to change your behavior, if there's something that can actually help you change your behavior, that's something that you should do, so long as it's a behavior change you want to create. So just putting your stuff in the debt snowball causes you that pinch to realize, I don't like where I'm at. I don't like my situation. And it doesn't only do that, it gives you the opportunity now to have that moment to reflect, right? And to decide what you want to do, because now you can actually plug in some numbers and say, what if I put in an extra, say, $100 towards my debt? How does it change the overall picture for me if I put an extra $100 on a monthly basis? Now, what if that 100 could actually become like 1,000 extra every single month? How much faster am I going to get out of this messy situation? And so in putting that information into your snowball, you're able to immediately see the wins that you're going to have. And for you to continue to want to do something, it's human. For you to want to continue to do something, you need to be able to see the results that it's getting for you. And that is where his method is very powerful, because before you know it, you finish paying off the first credit card. And then all of that money rolls into the second one. And before you know it, the second one is paid. And psychologically for you, it's like, I did it. I did it. It's a win. And the more you do it, the more you're able to celebrate, the more you start looking forward to the next win, which also entices you to pick up extra hours, find a side hustle, find other ways of getting extra income, cut your expenses, learn to say no. And no is a full sentence. You get to learn that you can actually say no and you're going to be okay with it. But for you to be able to say no, right? I always say this. For you to be able to say no, you got to know that you don't have it. For example, I was coaching a lady who was in a lot of debt, and she always sent money back to her family, which is a good thing. And if you're able to, by all means, please do it. But this particular person was sending money to their family without actually looking to see how much money got into their bank account on a monthly basis and how much their monthly expenses were. But by doing this budgeting exercise that we did, it's a different video, you can check on that. But by doing the budgeting exercise that she did, she was able to see that she doesn't have the money that she thought she had to be able to send to the people that she has been sending to. And so for her, having done that exercise, having gone through that, saying no was no longer a difficult thing for her, because right now she's saying no from a place of, I know I don't have this money to give to you. So when I'm saying no, I don't feel guilty for saying no. It doesn't change how the person is going to react to you, If somebody wants to ask for something from you, they're still going to ask. It's up to you whether you give it or not. And if you're giving it, you should give it and be happy with it. Be happy with the decision. But if every time you're going to give something to somebody, you're going to turn back and resent them, then you need to stop giving. If you're the kind of person who finds it very hard to say no, you need to give yourself that permission to understand that right now, it's not that you don't want to do it, it's that you can't. But only if you've actually looked at your situation and seen that, hey, this is the mess I'm in, this is the mess that I put myself in, and nobody is coming to save me. I got to do it for myself. I got to take myself out of it. So when you look at that, you look at your picture, you're going to realize that there are things that you can do to get yourself out of the mess that you got yourself in. And using the tools, a tool like the 7 baby steps, using a tool like the dead snowball, it helps you to have a map for where you're going, right? So personally, I loved using his 7 baby steps for myself to get out of debt. My husband and I, we used it to get out of debt. The thing that we changed, though, was we didn't destroy all our credit cards because we know where we come from. We know where we're going. We know that we still need the credit score because we did not, at the time, have that kind of money sitting in our bank account to go and do a mortgage. Well, we already had a mortgage at the time, so even if we wanted to, we still had a credit score going. Even if we wanted to cancel everything, we still had a credit score going. But personally, I love the convenience of having a credit card. It just makes it easier to make certain purchases. Yes, I'm able to use a Visa debit, or I don't know if MasterCard has a debit, but it's a Visa debit, which I'm able to use, which I used for a very long time to affect the behavior change that I wanted. And once I got to the place where I knew that I'm now able to, quote unquote, control myself and only use the money that I have in my account or the money that I'm able to pay off on a monthly basis, then I went back to using my credit cards because I wanted to continue building the credit score because I'm going to need that score for other things in the future. So this is completely against Dave's method. In his method, he wants you to destroy the credit card, get your credit score down to 0 because debt is dumb, cash is king. And I teach a method which is a mixture of all of that. It comes down to what are your personal goals? If you're going to need a credit score, then it's not about bringing your credit score down to 0. It's about changing that behavior so you know that when you're using a credit card or when you're using money, it is money that you have and not money that you're borrowing from the bank to live on for your daily expenses. So his method is very good because it creates that behavior change, which comes down to, like I said, personal finance is 80% behavior and it's only 20% what you know. If you can create that behavior change for you, then you're able to do the things you want to do. You give yourself that permission and that ability to do the things you want to do without stressing about, am I going to have the money to do this thing? Because you've created for yourself that situation that allows for the lifestyle that you want to create. Baby step 1, like I mentioned, was saving $1,000. Step 2 was paying off your debt except for the mortgage, which is down to, the mortgage is part of step 6. Step 3, when you finish with the debt snowball, again, it's in the description below. Go get a copy and use it for yourself. When you finish with step 2, you go up to step 3, where step 3 is about saving now 3 to 6 months worth of living expenses for yourself for the rainy days. If you don't want to call it a rainy day fund, call it your permission fund. Permission to go out and do the other things you want to do. If you've always thought about starting a side hustle, which again, you don't need money to start a side hustle. But if you wanted to, for example, move away from a toxic work environment, you're free to do that because you have created the situation where you have the money. You don't have to worry about a paycheck. That doesn't become a determining factor for you to make a decision that you want to make. So that 3 to 6 months worth of living expenses, that emergency fund, that is what it's there for. It gives you that permission to go out and explore the world and go out and do certain things that you've always wanted to do, but you've never been able to go do because all of your decisions were based on, am I going to be able to make my payments next month? If you love this video, check out this one right here next to me. I think you'll love it.